Leave Bannockburn and drive a few short miles into Stirling. Its castle, standing on a tree-covered volcanic plug, dominates the town. The first royal use of Stirling Castle was recorded in 1124, when King Alexander I died there. During the 15th and 16th centuries, it became the centre for the royal court, and right up until the early 17th century, it was used regularly by the kings of Scotland. Turn right up the hill towards the castle, and just beyond the Albert Halls stands a statue of Rob Roy, which shows his legendary long arms. Continue up the steep hill and you pass the Old Town Jail, which dates from 1847 and is now a popular award-winning visitor attraction. For the previous 400 years, Stirling's prisoners had been kept in the Tolbooth Jail, which was wretched, overcrowded and extremely unhealthy. Amidst pressure for improvement and prison reform, the purpose-built Old Town Jail opened. As you explore the jail, in the summer you can visit prisoners in their cells and meet the town hangman and inspector of prisons. You'll tour the dark corridors and cells and experience the atmosphere. In the winter, tour at your own pace with the use of an audio commentary. A glass-panelled lift whisks you up to the roof with breathtaking views of the old town and the hills of the Trossachs in the distance, rising out of the Carse. For the prisoners locked in their solitary cells below, it must have felt as if time stood still. So too, up on the roof, as much of the view has remained unchanged for centuries. A few yards further up the hill stands one of Scotland's grandest castles, due to its imposing position and impressive architecture. Stirling Castle commands the countryside for miles around. The setting for many famous events in Scotland's history, with its many splendid architectural attractions, which include the Great Hall, dating from the end of the Middle Ages and recently restored to its full medieval glory, and the splendid Renaissance Palace of James V, the Chapel Royal, and the artillery fortifications of the 16th to 18th centuries. Displays on the castle's history, the reconstructed medieval kitchen and an attractive cafe all add to the enjoyment of visiting Stirling Castle. Amongst the many impressive historical buildings in and around the castle, you'll find Argyll's Lodging, which is the finest and most complete surviving example in Scotland of a 17th century town residence. Argyll's Lodging was built by Sir William Alexander, the founder of Nova Scotia, and passed to the Argyll family on his death. The principal rooms comprise the Lake Hall, dining room, drawing room and bedchamber, and all have been magnificently restored and furnished as they would have appeared during the 9th Earl of Argyll's occupation around 1680. Based on detailed inventories, the interiors have all been authentically recreated to the highest standard by skilled craftsmen. The furniture and furnishings include beautifully carved and inlaid tables, elegantly upholstered chairs, and glorious tapestries and hangings. There is also Mar's Wark, the remains of a Renaissance palace commissioned by the Earl of Mar, Regent of Scotland and hereditary governor of Stirling Castle, and built around 1570. The Church of the Holy Rood, where James VI was crowned in 1567 when John Knox preached the sermon, is situated next to the historic Cowan Hospital. Leaving the castle, drive down the hill to the Market Cross and turn left down St Mary's Wynd, and you'll pass the remains of John Cowan's house, the founder of the Cowan Hospital and Stirling's richest merchant, a ship owner, banker, wine merchant and the town's commissioner to the Scots Parliament, who in 1627 travelled to London to represent Scots interests to King Charles I. Leaving the town, head north to the Wallace Monument. En route you pass Stirling Bridge, the site where William Wallace had a famous victory in 1297 in sight of the English-held Stirling Castle. The bridge you see was built in the 15th century.